Welcome to the Midi Quest Set window tutorial. The set window is where most people do their work on a particular instrument, as the set window usually contains all of the different types of data from an instrument stored in one place. So if you were to look at a Yamaha Motif ES6, you've got song data, a performance bank, voice banks, preset voice banks, voice data, drums, and so on. Essentially all of the different components that you would find in the instrument as data are echoed in Midi Quest Set. Now with a set you can work with either a single instrument, or you can create a set of two or more instruments simply by selecting the instruments you want in your set from the studio window. Click on the new button and your set is created here. And if you click in the area that contains the instrument graphic, you'll get a pop-up window and you'll see there are three instruments listed here. The DX7, an Access Virus C, and a Yamaha Motif ES6. You can click on any one of those and edit the data from that particular instrument. You can load data in simply by choosing the type of data you want to load and pressing the Get Data. And there is your Yamaha voice bank. And if we want to load data in here, we can do the same thing. And now we have all of our data from a DX7 voice. You can do the same with the other two instruments as well if you wish. Now, when you're creating your sets, you can of course here select a particular set type. Simple instruments like the DX7, you're only usually going to find one type of set, and that loads all of the data from the instrument. In a larger, more complicated instrument like a virus or a motif, there are frequently multiple sets. For instance, here with the Virus C, there's a default set which does a minimal load. You'll have another set for older viruses where you have what were RAM banks as well as ROM banks. You load both. You have a set for the more recent Access Virus Cs where you had 8 different banks, each of them user editable, and so on. So you can configure any set you want to match up with the particular instrument that you have. And the same applies with the ES6. There are two different set options. One is the default set, which loads just the RAM areas of the instrument, or you can choose the RAM plus ROM set, which allows you to load both RAM banks and ROM banks into your set. Now, I'm just going to close this up here and have a look at some of the set options that are accessible from the studio window. You can usually load sets a number of different ways. You can simply choose Open or press the Open button here. You'll get a file selector. You can go into the folder for any one of your instruments. And I will say choose the DX. And you can double click on any set and load it. So there's a set we've got loaded in here. Alternately, from the studio window, if you know that you want to load a set from, say, your Motif ES6, you can choose a set for that instrument, press the Open button. You'll get a file selector up that's already been placed in the Motif ES directory, is filtering for set data, and then it's just a matter of selecting the set file that you want to load. And we'll close that up. There are equivalent functions. You can press the open button to do the same thing. You can also click on the open mini button to do the same thing. All of these allow you to quickly open a set, access it, load it. You can also open and transmit that set directly to the instrument using this option from the Studio window. And from the Studio menu, you also have the same open option to access a set. Now, once you have a set open, there's the set menu, which controls the basic set editing, but we'll have a look at the MIDI menu first. And here you have a couple of options. You can choose, you'll notice that transmit entire set is listed here twice. If you have no elements in your set selected, then the first option will transmit the entire set, or if you choose a particular element in the set, then this will change to an option to transmit the particular element that you currently have selected. Second element in the MIDI menu will always send all of the data that's currently stored in the active set window. Cancel transmit will open a dialog that lets you cancel any data that is currently queued to be sent out to a particular MIDI port. So in the case of a large ES6 dump, that can take upwards of 5 to 10 minutes to transmit all of the data to the instrument. If for some reason you want to cancel that, it's as simple as opening this, select the port that the ES is sending to, and press the OK button. There are also chord and auditioning options. To find out more about these, you can check out the tutorial on the MIDI menu. And let's now have a look at the set menu. The first option is copy, and what that does is literally copies whatever element you currently have selected. In this case, it's Voice Bank User 2, and it places it in the set clipboard. If you then had, say, another set that you wanted to paste that information to, you can just activate that window, choose the paste option, and you'll find that your voice bank, your user 2 voice bank, is now filled with the same information as what you copied from the original source bank. The next option is copy as text. Now what this does, before proceeding with the set menu, I should say that one of the big features of editing in a set is the parent-child hierarchical bank editing features that are included in MIDI Quest. Now there's an entire separate tutorial that's dedicated to this, its features and how they work. So if you're using the set, you should definitely have a look at that tutorial. Now let's have a look at the features found in the set menu. You can access the set menu from the second menu entry in the main menus when a set window is active, or you can simply right-click in the window in the left-hand pane, and that menu will also be available. Now, copy takes the currently selected item and copies it to the set clipboard, and that allows you to paste it into another window. Oh, we've got to wait for Midi Quest is currently doing some background processing, and you can't paste during that process, so we'll wait and we'll instead have a look at the next option, which is copy as text. Copy as text takes all of the sysx stored in all of these different pieces of data and copies it to the Windows clipboard as a text file. Now you can then take this text file and paste it into any kind of word processor. If you are putting together some type of report and you want to have sysx in the report, or you may also want to take sysx and paste it into another application. Both Sonar or Cakewalk on Windows or Performer on the Mac allow you to take sysx that is displayed as hexadecimal text and paste it into the application for use. Now, if you're performing this option from a set window, you can frequently be copying a lot of text into the clipboard, and this can take some time. So if the program becomes unresponsive, don't worry. If you have a large number of elements in your set, then it's just taking its time, and you will get control of the program back when Midi Quest is finished doing what it needs to do. The third option in the menus, as you can see, is paste, and if I choose paste, it will paste the data that we put into the clipboard, this voice bank, and we'll put it into any other set window that you want, providing, of course, that it's a set window from the same instrument. Now, the Open submenu contains a number of items. The first option is bank, and this will change depending on whether you have an individual type of data selected or whether you have a bank selected. In this case, there's a bank selected, so it shows as bank. If we select voice, then this will change to say editor. And choosing this option essentially takes the data, makes a copy of it, and moves it out of the set window into its own individual editor, where you can do editing, save the disk, do whatever you want with it. These are now two completely different items, and changes made to this window are not reflected in the set. Saving to disk from this window has no effect on the set. If you make changes and want those to be displayed in the set, you'll need to copy this data and paste it back into your set window. The next option is sysx window, and what it does is it takes the currently selected item and again makes a copy of it so it's completely separate from any data currently in the set window, and it displays it in a raw hexadecimal form. This is the offset into the data file. This is a text equivalent of the data, and this is the actual data itself. There's a separate tutorial on the sysx view window if you want to see that. The final option in Open is the Settings button, and choosing this is equivalent to pressing this Settings button here, and it allows you to make changes to the port assignments, COM channel, and so on for the set. The disk menu is common to the library, the collection, and the set windows, and what this does is allow you to save and load individual data components from the set to disk. So if you say had a voice bank stored on disk that you wanted to replace in this set, you could choose load data file. You get a selector up, choose the voice bank that you want to load, and it would be replaced here. The next option is save data file, so that's the exact reverse. Take the data you want to save, say the voice bank, user 2, choose disk, save data file. You can give it any file name you want, and it will be saved to disk. The next two disk options are similar but a little bit different. Link a data file. Midi Quest has the ability to share data between windows, and this capability is provided by these options, which you'll also find in the collection window and in the library. Link a data file. What it will do is choose a type of data that is found in the set, select it, and now what happens is instead of the voice bank being stored within the set, the voice bank is actually linked to that file that you have on disk. Now the advantage to this is you can actually have multiple sets that share voice banks or actually share voices with a library. Any changes that you make to your root voice bank, the one that this set is now linked to, are automatically reflected within the set itself. So you could change the load up that root bank, and any changes that you make to this bank will also be reflected in this set window and any other windows that choose to reference this file. So the advantage here is if you've got one bank that you want to use in, say, 3 or 4 different sets, if there were no linking capabilities, any change that you made to this bank, you'd have to go to each different set that you have stored and make the identical changes. Here, you can load your root bank up, make the changes, save it, and each of your linked sets will automatically pick up these changes. So when you're say you go to send your set down to the instrument gets exactly what you want it to get. The next related link option is save data file and link, which is a quick way of doing what we just did. You could save this, choose this bank, choose save the data file link. It will save the data file to disk and turn it into a linked file. And we can do that again. Call it test 2. You'll notice that when a link is created, the editor is removed. In order to maintain this correct linking process, you can't edit these banks from within the set where the link is located. You need to go to the root bank and make your changes there. The final option here is resolve links. And what this does is it takes any data which is currently tagged as being a linked file within the set and removes the link designation, and the data is now stored within the set as opposed to just being stored as a link. Now when you're looking through a bank, you can determine whether a particular entry is linked or not by this menu item here. It says pre2 is stored in the set. The preset 1 bank is stored in the set. But here, notice it says that the user 2 bank is a linked file, and the user 1 bank is also a linked file. So that's an easy way to determine the status. If you've looked at the library or collection tutorials, you'll see that in those windows, linked files are marked with a little disk link icon in the list display. I'm going to change these, and I'm going to resolve the links, and I can now treat these as standard edit files. The next menu option, let's look at the set, is export. Export has a number of entries which again are common to a number of windows. There is a separate export tutorial that you can view for these options. The active option tells you whether Midi Quest considers the component in the data to be active, that is sendable or not. So when you go to do a MIDI transmit and say transmit the entire set, there may be situations where you've got all this data, but you know that as when you load up this set, you only wanted to dump a couple of components. Well, if you don't want to send user 2, you can select it, uncheck the active option, and that user data is no longer considered to be active, and when you go to send your entire bank, it is not sent here. When you go to send the entire set, that part is not sent as part of the set. Same thing here. You can deactivate that and say you will no longer send down your drum bank data. This allows you to optimize what portion of your set is sent to the instrument and what portion is not, simply because you know that what is in the instrument, you don't need to update those components when you do a transmit. This option we've already discussed. Move to displays a dialog that lists the other available windows that can receive data that are open in Midi Quest, and you move the selected data type, say user 1 bank, and you can copy that to either one of the other available windows. This move to function is found in all of Midi Quest's editing windows, the bank, the patch editor, set, collection, and library, and allows you to move the data around with ease. These additional menu items are just duplicates of options found in the MIDI menu, and these 3 are found in the File menu. Thank you for viewing the set tutorial.